on the International Space Station by the crew of Space Shuttle Endeavour marked the start of a new phase of work for them and the resident crew on board ISS, starting early Wednesday. While the shuttle crew slept, Commander Bill Shepard and his Russian crewmates awoke to find that a pump in the station's carbon dioxide removal system had failed, and that there was a high level of humidity in the station due to a malfunctioning fan in the air conditioner. The systems were recovered before the end of the day, but mission managers carefully studied how the high moisture level would affect station systems, and that delayed Shepard's entry into the Unity module to complete power connections. He told spacecraft communicator Sandy Magnus in Houston that he was eager to get to work.
Yeah, we don't care if it's snowing in there. We got to get in there and get going.
Copy that. They're going through the looking at the data and stuff. We think it'll probably be okay, but they're just doing some final checks, and the ground pass is coming up, and we'll be able to give you an answer.
The answer was yes, and Shepard went to work inside the node prior to the wake-up call to Endeavour's astronauts. Commander Brent Jett was quick to ask spacecraft communicator Gerhard Thiele about activity inside the station.
Yeah, how's the station crew doing in terms of node ingress?
Endeavour Houston, the station crew is in the node right now as we speak. However, they will be not there for long since they have a humidity control problem on station and are working that. You find words to that extent also in the execute package.
That daily package included details of the plan for the shuttle crew to fully tension a solar blanket on the station's starboard side solar array wing during the planned Thursday spacewalk by mission specialists Joe Tanner and Carlos Noriega. Noriega described the plan during a series of interviews Wednesday afternoon.
Well, they're going to rotate the blanket box so it's directly above two portable foot restraint positions that we're going to ingress. So basically, we'll be standing up so that we can reach as high as we can, and the blanket box will be directly above our head. At that point, we'll pull the slack out of the cable through a pulley guide that's there, and I'll hold the cable down while Joe unwinds or winds up a tension reel, and then we'll slowly feed the cable onto the reel, and hopefully that'll do it. It might take a few tries, but that's what we're going to go out there and do for both the tension reels. Well, we've been coordinating closely with the folks on the ground. Actually, they've been doing all the hard work, and we've been listening to the results of their efforts. It looks like a site similar to a contingency that we'd practiced, although the actions that we're going to do at that site is quite a bit different. But the videos they sent us, the descriptions and the pictures, all make it look like a doable task. It's going to be a challenge for us, but we're looking forward to going out there and doing our part to help the station.
The plan was developed by solar array engineers in California, where astronaut David Wolf assisted, and was tested in NASA's Neutral Buoyancy Laboratory in Houston by astronauts John Grunsfeld and Mike Foale. Noriega and Tanner reviewed the scenario with astronaut Jerry Ross in mission control.
You say in the note that several attempts might be required, and what does a failed attempt look like? It's not on the right drum of the reel. Is that correct?
That's correct. The video that we sent you was Dave Wolf's probably 15th attempt or so, and he had a fairly steep learning curve. And so, what you guys saw was, I don't want to upset you guys, but, Dave's a slow learner.
So if we do it in less than 15 attempts, we're going to be okay, huh?
We're counting on you.
About the time the shuttle crew took its lunch break, Station Commander Shepard got word from spacecraft communicator Joan Higginbotham that the environmental system repairs completed by his crewmates, Yuri Gitsenko and Sergei Krikalev, had cleared the way for another milestone in ISS history.
We have some good words for you tonight, Shep. First of all, as you already know, since the SKV is operational, we have no constraints to the node ingress, and I hope that makes you happy.
Understand, we can go in the node anytime we want to, starting right now?
That's exactly right, Chef.
And that meant they could retrieve more supplies left inside pressurized mating adapter 3 by the shuttle astronauts, who enjoyed a few hours off-duty time before taking part in a briefing on final plans for the mission's third spacewalk, scheduled to begin Thursday morning.
Endeavour, good morning.
Good morning, Gerhard. Thank you for that lovely aria.
You are welcome.
Speaking with the crew here in Mission Control is astronaut Jerry Ross, a spacewalking veteran. Ross has been involved with the team of engineers and technicians and spacewalking experts that have been putting together the plan that will be used by Tanner and Noriega tomorrow.
Okay, next question. You say in the note that several attempts might be required, and what does a failed attempt look like? It's not on the right drum of the reel. Is that correct?
That's correct. The video that we sent you was Dave Wolf's probably 15th attempt or so, and he had a fairly steep learning curve. And so, what you guys saw was, I don't want to upset you guys, but, Dave's a slow learner.
You mean, so if we do it in less than 15 attempts, we're going to be okay, huh?
We're counting on you. Hey, by the way, I do have Dave on a landline out to Sunnyvale where he's still with the engineers working on some additional procedures. So if you've got any technical things, I've got him standing by. You're a little bit further on your question about sharp edges around the pulley. The pulley itself is okay. The housing that is by the pulley may have some sharp edges, or at least not as rounded as you might like. You'll have to inspect those yourself and see what you think. There's variability in the manufacturing.
Okay, we noticed that we have a variety of tools. The loop pin extractor, of course, we saw Dave use in the video. Would the forceps be a good thing to use to help get the cable onto the pulley initially?
You can try that if you like. We have clearance to use the gloved hand when there's nothing in motion and we're in free drift, so you ought to be able to use that as well. Quite frankly, we wanted to get a collection of tools out there that if in real life it didn't perform the way we expected it to, that you had some other options to work with without going back down to the payload bay.
All right, what's the 5/16 socket for?
5/16, I believe, is if we have to remove the inspection panel plate on the side of the solar array box. One of the hypothesized problems is that the internal mechanisms have come out of their proper alignment also. There's a terminator on a cable that goes into a capstan type mechanism, and if it came out, that's how we were going to cycle these latches 5 times to see if we can get that lined up again. If that doesn't work, then the next option might be, and we're still thinking about this, might be to open up that plate and to look in there and using the needle nose pliers or maybe the forceps to help get this cable back into its proper position.
Gentlemen, if I may begin with Joe Tanner and Carlos Noriega. In terms of the EVA that you have planned tomorrow, could you give our viewers and our users a sense of just how difficult your mission is going to be outside?
Well, we've been coordinating closely with the folks on the ground. Actually, they've been doing all the hard work, and we've been listening to the results of their efforts. It looks like a site similar to a contingency that we've practiced, although the actions that we're going to do at that site is quite a bit different. But the videos they sent us, the descriptions and the pictures, all make it look like a doable task. It's going to be a challenge for us, but we're looking forward to going out there and doing our part to help the station.
Thank you, Colonel Noriega. Joe Tanner, in terms of trying to tighten the slack on one of the arrays, do you have high confidence you'll be able to succeed in tightening it?
Well, I'm a real optimistic sort of guy, and yeah, I think we're going to be able to do it. I don't anticipate we'll get it on our first try. On the ground, even, they had several attempts before they were successful in doing what we're proposing to do tomorrow. I'll be overjoyed if we get it on the first try, but I don't anticipate that. We're going to keep working at it, and I think we can do it. It's just going to be a little bit of learning on our part on how to use the tools and exactly how the mechanism works. So I think it's going to be real exciting.
One of the concerns of all of your colleagues at NASA and indeed all of us watching your efforts are the high voltage issues surrounding the array. How big a concern is that right now, and how much caution are you exercising in dealing with it?
You know, we worried a lot about that in the last couple months, and frankly, yesterday I didn't even think about it. Did you, Carl? They were thinking about it in the crew module, and on the ground they're thinking about it all the time. We've got 3 inhibits to a hazardous condition, and all 3 of those inhibits were invoked yesterday, and we are in no danger.
If I may, Mark Garneau, turning to you with the entire truss, depending upon your skill, what were your emotions knowing a $60 billion project was depending on your skill?
Well, I think most astronauts are A-types, and worry most of all about screwing up. And so, yes, I was worried about screwing up, and my hand was shaking a little bit as I was bringing that P6 truss down to within a few inches of the Z1. But I had lots of help. There were a couple of people behind me continuously giving me guidance, extra cues to help me do the job. And, of course, Joe and Carlos were out there at the interface, and their job was to confirm that the P6 was coming down properly and to give me the cue for the stop. So I had lots of help.
Of course, I have a few questions for you about tools. I've been following the installation of the array, and I know that there's big plans for tomorrow in terms of stretching it. What kind of hand tools do you actually take out there?
Funny you ask, Bob. We were prepared for you. This is what we refer to as mini workstation. It's basically our toolbox that we carry all of our tools on.
So I know that when you're out there, you've got all sorts of tethers and things to deal with. Do you ever have to worry about a tool kind of flying off into space?
Well, that's always a concern, and we're constantly checking our tethers to make sure that they're attached. The tool that Carlos has right here is a pistol grip tool, and you particularly, Bob, would like this one. It's the ultimate tool for the tool guy.
It's a pistol grip tool that will help you loosen fasteners, or what?
Right. There are 14 programmable settings for torque and turns, and it'll tell you how much torque it took to break a fastener, or how much torque you're applying to it, up to 25 foot-pounds. Has a mechanical torque reliever as well. You can ratchet clockwise and counterclockwise or motor with it, and it's the ultimate tool, Bob.
It sounds fabulous, but when you're up there, don't you have to worry about it kind of twisting and turning your body around?
That's a very good question, Bob, and that's why we try to get ourselves as steady as possible. One of the hardest things I did out there was removing some cinch bolts on the radiators, and those had about some of them up to 25 foot-pounds, one over 30 foot-pounds of torque on it, and I had to brace myself really well to keep my body from spinning as I was moving the torque on those bolts.
Now, one of the tasks that's on for tomorrow has to do with actually slacking on the cinch that's on the other array and then pulling it taut again. Just how many? There's two of you involved in that, right? How will you go about that task?
Well, they're going to rotate the blanket box so it's directly above two portable foot restraint positions that we're going to ingress. So basically, we'll be standing up so that we can reach as high as we can, and the blanket box will be directly above our head. At that point, we'll pull the slack out of the cable through a pulley guide that's there, and I'll hold the cable down while Joe unwinds or winds up a tension reel, and then we'll slowly feed the cable onto the reel, and hopefully that'll do it. It might take a few tries, but that's what we're going to go out there and do for both the tension reels.
How much time do you have to actually accomplish that? Are you working an 8-hour day?
Well, EVA time, we typically schedule 6.5 hours, and for this task right now, we currently budgeted 3 hours. But if it needs to be, we can spend the whole time working on this task, because right now it's the highest priority.
Alpha Houston is a victim.
Any words for Alpha tonight?
We have some good words for you tonight, Chef. First of all, as you already know, since the STS is operational, we have no constraints to the node ingress, and I hope that makes you happy.
Understand, we can go in the node anytime we want to, starting right now?
That's exactly right, Chef.
Okay, Chef.
And the second thing, this is probably a moot point by now, but just to answer your earlier question, you had asked if the shuttle could have an extended stay, and that's not an option because we're limited by LIO. And I understand, too, that's kind of a moot point because you all have Vosduke up and running. Is that affirmative?
We think it's working. We're not sure exactly if it's completely operational, but it's looking good right now.
Okay, and we are watching the LIO here, and by our calculations, there should be 5 U.S. canisters and 8 Russian canisters, not including what you're currently using. And we're estimating that that'll give us approximately 2 weeks of CO2 removal.
We copy. Understand the question about Endeavour staying is their LIO, not our LIO.
That is absolutely correct, Chef.
Okay.
This is live television from the lower deck of Endeavour as spacewalkers Joe Tanner and Carlos Noriega prepare equipment and supplies for tomorrow's third spacewalk of the flight for the two. That 6-hour spacewalk planned now with 3 major tasks. The first priority task for the first 3 hours of the spacewalk is to tension a blanket on the starboard solar panel. The starboard solar array deployed from the International Space Station. That array deployed on Sunday. The blanket noted to loosen during that deploy activity. Tanner and Noriega will scale to the top of the 90-foot tower in Endeavour's payload bay, attach foot platforms there, and then with the solar arrays angled parallel with the truss structure and then retracted about 3 feet, Tanner and Noriega will rewind cabling for the tensioning system onto tensioning pulleys from which it apparently has slipped off, and thus tighten the blanket. Following that, they'll install a floating potential probe, a piece of equipment designed to be attached at the top of that 90-foot tower on the station, top 90 feet above Endeavour's payload bay, rather, at the point near those solar arrays in the middle, at the very top of the P6 truss that's been attached to the station, to characterize the plasma or electrical environment around the exterior of the station. Following the installation of that floating potential probe, then they'll install a cable for a centerline television camera that will be used as one of the visual cues for attaching the U.S. Destiny Laboratory on the next shuttle mission that will visit the station, shuttle mission STS-98 in January 2001.